Hello and welcome to your messages for the month of April 2025. So you've survived March with all that astrology going on. I'm recording this on Sunday, the 30th of March. So happy Mother's Day to anyone from the UK, because it's Mother's Day over there today. And also today, we had the partial solar eclipse yesterday on the 29th, and we've got Neptune moving from Pisces into Aries today. So yeah, loads of stuff going on. And a lot of people were saying that, who we are at the end of March was going to be different than who we were going into March, and the card wanted to come out then. So yeah, interesting to know. Are you a different person? If so, in what way? What have you learned? How have you evolved? I think that's what it's all about. I think for me, one of the things I've kind of learned, I don't know whether I've learned it or not. If you've seen my video, how to detach from your thoughts, it's number 15 in my Lessons in Awakening on this channel. And I talk in that about thought, because we create our reality from our thoughts, right? So the higher the frequency of our thoughts and beliefs, the kind of better quality of life we have. And I think of thoughts as in balloons that are floating around above us. And we can grab one and then talk about it. So you can have a thought or an opinion about a certain subject, and you can hold on to that thought balloon and talk about it. So the purpose of that video is to help us not get too attached to these balloons. Okay, so it's like the topic comes up and we have opinions, right? We can't help it. We observe and we think things, whether we're judging them favorably or unfavorably. We have all these thoughts that come up. It's right, it's wrong, it's good, it's bad, should be, shouldn't be. I mean, really, even if it's just going on in the head or whether we're verbalizing it, it doesn't matter. It's like these thought balloons are there, right? So that video is all about not being too attached. It's like I can hold this balloon and talk about this subject, but if you're going to argue with me, or if it's going to get, I don't need to argue with anybody. This is my opinion. And, but the people that, it's people that are going to hold on to this, and it's like, you can't take this thought away from me. And because that's the rigid thinking, isn't it? And of course, we've got all these astrological transits at the moment from Pisces into Aries, which is going with the flow and surrendering. And what's beautiful is it's surrendering from the Pisces energy into the I am of Aries, which what I love about the I am of Aries is it's taking you to another level of I am or another level of you are, who you really are. Because we've identified with this thought, whatever it might be. Could be flat earther, or it could be veganism, or it could be, I don't know, public education versus private. I don't know, right? Or it could be natural health versus, other kinds of health systems. But we hang on to this. I'm right, you're wrong. And then we kind of defend it, and all of this. And so in that video, which I will put a link in the description, it was all about let go of our attachment, let go of the attachment to having to be right, let go of the attachment to needing to have that thought, let go of the identity that you've created around having that thought. Just let go of the balloons, right? They can be floating around up here, so you can have thoughts, obviously, but just not attached to them. It's like they come, they go, So that's what that video was. So what I got excited about was, I don't know whether it's laziness or unconditional love. But I found throughout this month, with the astrology going on, that I couldn't even be bothered to accumulate thought balloons. So somebody would say something, whether I see it online or someone in my close community or someone in the collective or what have you. But I would hear something and I would think, you know, I don't, I wouldn't even think. This is the whole point. It's like maybe I would think the old Deborah would have reacted to that. The old Deborah would have waded in with her opinion, or the old Deborah, you know. But I actually, and I want to use the phrase couldn't be bothered. I know that sounds negative, but I think it proves a point that I want to make, which is that our resistance to things is what causes suffering. Because in order, you hear something or see something and you don't agree with it, and you want to react or you want to comment or you want to, even if you want to put your counter argument, even if you do it calmly, you're still in resistance. You're in resistance to what you've heard. And it's that resistance. I think now that we want to find the path of least resistance. And I know it's difficult because then people are going to say, but that just means rolling over and letting people walk all over you. And I don't mean that. Of course, I don't mean that. But I think it's one of these things where you have to do the full circle. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so moving into Aries, that I am, I think again, it matters where you are on the map of consciousness. I'll put a link into that as well. I think this is really relevant to that because it does depend where you are on the map of consciousness. Of course, I mean, you have to stand up for yourself. You can't be walked all over, of course. You have to go through all of that process. The I am independent. I am respected, I am loved. You have to love yourself and you have to go through all of that process. But then it gets to the stage where you realize that, they're just you creating your reality. So when you're in resistance to anything that anyone says, that resistance is actually a vibrational disharmony within the cells of your own body. And that's why unconditional love has to start from within. Because by having unconditional love for yourself, you're releasing that resistance. And it doesn't mean you're condoning what's going on around you. It's actually quite the opposite. It's just that you understand that you are the creator of your own reality and that everybody outside of you is a reflection of that. So if you don't give in, I don't mean give in as in surrender. Surrender is a word from Pisces. So we do have to surrender, but not as in letting other people walk all over us. It's you have to have this understanding that you are the creator of your own reality. And by surrendering your resistance, that's what I want to say. Time to surrender your resistance. Because when you surrender that resistance, it's really a case of I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered to accumulate contrary thoughts. I can't be bothered to accumulate resistant thoughts. It's uncomfortable. I can't be bothered. It's a palaver. I've got to, string an argument together? Why would I want to do that? It doesn't feel good in the cells of my body. I don't know whether I'm making sense. Excuse me. Let's do the cards then, Deb. Let's do the cards. Look. Oh my God, she's so full of resistance. The cards are face down, as always. She's just so full of resistance. I can't do this and I can't do that. And it has to be this way and it has to be that way. And really, it doesn't, young lady. It really doesn't. Who's got herself in knots? When you're stressed and you're like, oh, he made me stressed, or the present political situation made me stressed, or, the health situation made me stressed, or whatever. Somebody else, something outside of me made me stressed. But we know that there's nothing outside of you. We know that everything outside of you is a mirror and a reflection to what's going on inside. So when you can surrender to the resistance, when you can surrender to that, the resistance is no longer there. That's the whole nature of it from an energy perspective. It's not like the thing you don't want is going to come in and walk all over you. You release your resistance to it. This is loving what is. This is taking the concept of loving what is to another level. Everything is going to another level. I mean, that's really clear. So the Eight of Swords, she's it's she's trapped herself. When you look back at your life and you think, oh my goodness, all of those, I got so stressed about so many things. And then when I look back, I realize that I created all of that stress. At the time, I didn't think so. At the time, I was too busy pointing fingers at other people. But looking back, it was like I was her. That's what this card is saying. Oh no, look, Tower card. It came up last week, didn't it? Okay, so this is for the month of April, but it did come up last week that we got the Tower card, and I'm so not surprised because these are the limiting beliefs, these swords going down. Swords are air, they represent our mental processes, so they represent your thoughts, your beliefs, ideas, opinions, and going down was negative. The castle in the background usually represents our goals in life. She can't achieve her goals because of all this negative thinking. But this is what's coming down because I talked this week in the last messages for the week that these are the systems coming down. And we talked about, the political system, the education system, the health system, all these different systems that are coming down, but they're actually a reflection of our own system. And the main system that we actually create from is our belief system. And that's what it's her beliefs that have got her trapped. And this Tower card is referring to it's our belief system has to come down, and but you have to be at a certain level of consciousness before you can take on board each concept as it really kind of in its true meaning, because it is about, just don't have resistance. Don't have resistance to the tower coming down. Why are we trying to keep this tower up? This is about creating from scratch. Creating from scratch. And it really does help to understand that there is only you. I'm going to put a link into that one as well, because how we create our own reality, because it's so important that we understand that and that everybody is creating their own world, quite literally. There's pockets, or whether you call them dimensions or timelines, where people are creating together, and there's collective, and you can go, oh yeah, but it is true because they've got it too, and but that's still only a pocket. There's pockets over here where people are creating something completely different, and I've really seen that this month. So it comes back every time to, what do you want to create? What do you want to create? And if the answer is peace, which it is for me, I just want to feel peace inside. And to feel the peace inside, I have to surrender to the resistance. I have to surrender to the resistance, because that's where the peace is. And so there was part of me that thought, but that's really lazy. And there was a part of me that thought, I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered to argue. I can't be bothered to even express my opinion. I can't be bothered to even accumulate the thought balloons that I'm going to even refer to. I couldn't even be bothered to get them together because they were resistance thoughts. Thoughts that were in resistance to what I was seeing and hearing and observing and witnessing. So, when you just observe, you're not entangled, are you? So you don't need to react. You don't even need to respond. And if you're observing and then you're triggered, that's when you know that there's a part of you that needs to be healed. If that makes sense. Then this tower is our belief system coming down, realizing that, we don't have to be a certain way. We don't have to get everyone to agree with us. We don't have to agree with anybody else. Remember that we are fractals of the universe wanting to experience itself in its entirety. So everyone's meant to be unique. Everyone's meant to be different. And we're meant to have similarities with some people and differences with others. And there'll be people that we have some similarities with and differences about other topics. And it's meant to be like that. We're not meant to all think the same. We're not meant to be all the same because the whole point is for the universe to experience itself in its entirety. And that the whole point for us individually is to find that peace. Because when we find that, the relaxation and the joy that comes from that internal peace, that's when we create from that space. We create from that space of peace. And that's when these towers, they're down, they're crumbling, the lights come in. Just imagine what we can create with that. We got the chariot. Oh my goodness me. Oh my goodness, I actually really love this card because a number of reasons. Okay. I got excited there. Pace yourself, Deborah. Three cards, two of them major arcana. So we know how powerful it is. These beliefs have to come down now, right? These are the thought balloons. Okay. They're resistant thought balloons. That's why it's causing her suffering. We just need to change the way we think altogether, or we can just say stop thinking. We don't even need to think. Be thoughtless. Be zen. Now, what I like about the chariot, first of all, the chariot is a moving on card. Now, we do have the Six of Swords in the minor arcana, which is a moving on card, which usually relates to moving jobs, moving relationships, moving house. But because it's a major arcana, I always think of this card as moving on to a higher level of consciousness, which of course we're doing because we're in the middle of 2025 and we've just come to the end of March. So everyone's going to another level of consciousness, which is why I said Dr. David Hawkins' map of consciousness is really relevant. So there's a link in the description to that. Now, the moving on card here, these stars around the canopy represent heaven. And I see the black and white sphinxes here as representing the separation and the duality of the physical realm. And how his job is to bring the level of consciousness of the celestial realms. I don't normally say that. I normally say heaven on earth, so that's interesting. But he's bringing the level of consciousness, Christ consciousness, fifth dimensional levels of consciousness. How do you want to phrase it? Doesn't matter, does it? Higher levels of consciousness into this physical world of ours. And we improve the physical world by being who we are and operating from this level of consciousness. Now, the other thing about the chariot card is it is about reconciling opposing forces. Reconciling opposing forces. And I'm really seeing that. That's what it's about, reconciling opposing forces. So it's like whether we talk about, the black and white. So let's talk about racism. It's like we're all humanity. Reconciling humanity. Rich and poor, we're all humanity. Gay and straight, we're all humanity. Reconciling all of humanity, reconciling the differences and releasing that illusion of separation. And we're moving on to that, this unity between humanity so that we can live in peace and freedom. But these beliefs have to come down. These beliefs have to come down. So what I'm seeing here is April is going to be a time for changing our thinking, changing our beliefs. So there's going to be a lot of truths, who you really are, what's really going on, and all these thought balloons that we've been holding on to so tightly and creating our identity around. Not only can we let them go, but we don't even have to accumulate. We don't even have to draw resistant thinking in. We don't even have to participate. You know, if someone says, you know, where do you stand on such and such a political situation? I can't be bothered. Now, I remember when I was very young, I was traveling and I met somebody. He was quite rude to me. And he said, he wasn't very friendly. And he said to me, oh, you could never be a friend of mine because you're so politically unaware. I remember being really hurt. I must have been about 21 at the time. And I remember being really hurt. And it was not a very nice thing to say to somebody, but it was probably true. I was never interested in politics at all. And now I kind of understand because as far as the soul profiles go, which I do, the soul profile readings, I'm very dominant in divine truth. And I think on some level, I didn't resonate because there was no divine truth in politics. Or the politics at the time, or what have you. I'm sure there are some politics where there's divine truth. I'm just speaking from my experience. So there was probably no divine truth there, which is why I wasn't resonating with it. But now I actually think it's a good thing because you know I've got no resistance. There's no resistance. Those resistant thought balloons, I can't be bothered because we need to be so busy creating the new. Because when you focus your love, your peace, your attention, and your gifts, your enthusiasm, your passion, your inspiration, when you focus all of that, your consciousness, on what you want to create and doing what you love, um, and creating the new earth and creating the new paradigm, then the old paradigm is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. We don't have to fight. That's what he's saying. We don't have to fight the old paradigm because the old paradigm is just going to crumble away. It's going to crumble away because what's happening is we're raising our frequency. Remember, everything is energy. We're raising our frequency, not just a little bit. We're raising it up octaves and octaves and octaves. So this crumbling paradigm, if the old us is done and dusted, we're rising above and bringing this level of consciousness into the perceived separation, the illusion of separation. And we are reconciling humanity, reconciling the differences, bringing people together, honoring humanity, what it is to be part of humanity. This is moving on. This is the moving on to heaven on earth, moving on to the new earth. And we do it through unconditional love. There is also an energy about this card, the Chariot card, of emotional healing. Of course, it is emotional healing, isn't it? When you heal yourself from being stressed to finding that peace inside, simply because you can't be bothered to resist anymore. And that's not a sign of weakness. That's a sign of unconditional love. Yeah. Wow. So it sounds like April's going to be a big month as well. And I think the changes are all happening on the inside because of our belief system coming down. Wow. But this is a beautiful card. Moving on to higher levels of consciousness, reconciling the differences, uniting humanity. Uniting humanity. And we do that. How do we do that? How do we unite humanity? We do that by surrendering the resistance within, not accumulating resistant thoughts, and being lazy, because you know what? It's tiring, isn't it? I mean, have you ever, like, have you held a grudge or anything? A lot of people say, they actually learn to forgive other people because holding on to grudges is so tiring. But actually, holding on to resistant thoughts, whatever level they're at, whatever topic they're on, holding on to resistant thoughts is so tiring. So we can look at it as just being lazy. I'm too lazy to get attached, to even accumulate resistant thoughts. I just want to, flow with what I want to do, what I enjoy doing, and sharing the love, sharing the joy, and sharing the peace. If we all did that, we would be creating from that level of peace. When I say that level of peace, check out the map of consciousness, link in the description. You know what I'm talking about. Wow. Happy April. Thank you, thank you, thank you for getting to the end of the video. Have a fantastic month. Mwah, mwah, mwah. You know I love you all. Bye for now. See you in the next video.